For our viewers and listeners, Dining with Dhoot has over 11,500 followers on Instagram right now, and more than like millions in reels. I don't think I know that much counting, honestly. But I'm guessing to reach that level, you had to go through a long process. Um, did you learn anything? How's your initial reception? Was it always going towards, like, did you always know that it's going towards like such a wonderful reception, or did you encounter like obstacles that you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, I think my first couple of months were actually really bad. And it was also because of the fact that I didn't know what I was doing, very honestly. I was just posting for the sake of posting something. I didn't know like you had to use these 30 hashtags and you have to base it on like where you're located, and some have to be scattered around like what the dish is, and it has to be, you know, kind of reaching a certain audience. So I was just posting for the sake of it. So the first couple of months, I wasn't growing as much as like my fellow bloggers were. And obviously, that's a huge thing. Like, you can tell yourself how much ever that your growth is a personal thing. But when you're at like using social media and you see other people growing a lot faster than you, I think it's a
Yeah.
little bit demotivating for sure. But eventually I just told myself that it's probably to do with the content I'm posting, and I just have to improve on that. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was like to just accept that, you know what, people aren't following me because my content's just bad. Like, I'm not putting any effort. So if I'm posting something in 10 minutes, it's obviously not going to get like those million likes, because like
Hmm.
it's not something that has any kind of like thought process behind it. So then I started really like understanding what my audience kind of needs and wants. And then I started like adapting towards it. So I think that was one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Just like last episode, the three of us were talking about the whole idea of comparison, and it's really cool to have seen someone like use it in a professional capacity where you got yourself through comparison by focusing on yourself instead and actually like making that work. But how did you, I guess, make yourself be very consistent throughout this posting process and being able to do this? Because I mean, everything I've heard about like social media influencing is that you have to be consistent, otherwise your account won't grow. So how did you make yourself do that every single day and keep that up?
Yeah, so I just told myself that I gave myself like at like a year. I told myself, in if in 1 year of me like
Mhm.
deciding I want to do this, I can't get success, then I just have to accept that it's probably not for me. And like I'm like kind of ambitious, so I'm like, I don't want to do something where it's not going to eventually, it's not something I can monetize, very honestly. Like, I wanted it to be like my full-time business. So then I just told myself that if it's a full-time business, that you know what, like 5 days a week, I have to be sitting and just kind of like doing something in this. Like, even if it's something to do with like researching what the next food trend is or what's trending, I have to do that. I have to sit 5 days a week and figure it out, and tell myself that, you know what, even if it's like a work from home thing, it's not something that I can just take lightly, if you know what I mean. So
Right.
I think that's a really good advice because when it comes to content creation, people have this skewed idea of it and they're like, oh, it's easy. I can just do
Yeah.
it for like 5 minutes in a day and I can get loads of content done and I'll go viral. But you don't realize like how much effort actually goes into it. It's a proper job. And if you treat it like a job, then you're actually going to be able to grow your passion. Now, another misconception that I think I had and a lot of people have about content creation is that to get like any form of success, so to get like brands approaching you, things like that, you have to be massive. So I'm talking like you are now, tens of thousands of followers, more than that. Did you find that to be true, or how was that like? Did brands approach you earlier?
no, not at all. Like, even I was under this impression as well, because you see all these like famous Instagram bloggers and you're like, oh, you have to reach that 100K, otherwise no one's going to take you seriously. But what I realized was like, I had, I think, 1,000 followers, and I got someone reach out to me. It was this kimchi brand, in fact, from Korea, and they were like, "Can we send you a parcel?" And I was so
That's
shocked. I was
awesome.
like, "Why do you want to send me
Wow.
a parcel? Like, who am I even like? Who is even listening to me? No one is." So I was so confused. But obviously, when I got that, I was just like, it was like one of those like validation marks that you hit. That, okay, you know
Yeah.
what? You don't have to get like 100K immediately. Like, if you just focus on like content, eventually brands reach out to you themselves because they see that, firstly, your followers are organic. And secondly, you have something to contribute that could translate into sales for them eventually. So yeah, there's no number. It's just what content you post. You can get it at 200 followers. You can get it. You can't, like, you won't even get it at 20K if your content's not good. That's just about it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense to like just hear this. Yeah, like making your content, designing it for like what people actually can market versus like just having like 20 even like 20 random followers is not useful. Like five good followers will work. Like of course in like thousands, but like but but like yeah. But I'm guessing you told us a little bit about how you progress as a page. And did you notice your content changing over time? And do you think when you think about ideas and try to be consistent, like you said, like 5 days a week, do you think it's changing from the time you begun? Do you think you like the process of it changing? Uh, what do you think about your processes now?
Yeah, so when I first started, obviously, the thing was like I was cooking with a lot of fancy ingredients. So if you scroll down to my page, some of the stuff is like an avocado dip or like a pesto burrata pizza. But we were in lockdown and not everyone is as fortunate as I am. So I realized that the reason why people aren't cooking this is because it's lockdown. No one is going to go and get that burrata just because I posted it. So one of the major changes I made was I was like, you know what? I'm also going to stop getting all this and I'm going to see what I can make with like basic everyday ingredients. So then I started shifting towards like a lot of like rice based recipes, or if you have a leftover roti, what can you do with it? And I think that's when like people started really relating and kind of like understanding that I'm putting good content out there. Was when I was like, I stopped using anything fancy. Like once in a while, I'll use something fancy if I want to put it out there. But usually, like, I just switched completely to very basic home ingredients that everyone has.
Yeah, I really like that because like at least there you're building so much more relatability with your audience because you're not relying on the ingredients, you're relying on like your actual recipe and the creativity.
Do you think you learned any tips or like learned any like things about like social media content creation that you want to share with us for our audience who also might want to get into the same space? Are there any tips that you want to give to our like budding content creators like me and Akash?
Y'all are anyways doing so well. I need tips from this podcast. But in general, like, I think don't undervalue yourself. This is something that I did initially where I thought that, like, no one will pay me. Why should people pay me? Like, I'm only have like 2,000 followers. I don't deserve that money. So I really like undervalued myself, and then once it so happened that one of my photos that I did, it was like a barter collaboration, and I obviously it takes me a lot of time to make that dish and take a photograph, then edit it, then submit it to the brand, and I saw that that brand had used that photo as their cover image for their stores all over India, and I think that's when it hit me that okay, so even if I have 2,000 followers, that kind of content, I'm basically getting nothing out of it. What I got was that product, which is like very honestly, 70 rupee product is what I got. And they have managed to, use it for everything, like all their Instagram ads, they've used it on their website. It's all over their stores that like third party stores that sell that product. So I think that's when I realized that, you know what, like I'm going to start charging brands for any kind of content creation because I don't feel like you'd never walk into a salon and be like, give me a haircut, I'll give you a t-shirt for free. What will I do with your product? I'm providing you a service. So do not undervalue yourself. Start charging because you might think that you need to be at 50, 100, 200K to charge, but you don't. All you need to do is produce good content and brands will pay you because eventually like your content speaks for itself. It's very easy to go out there and post like a 15-second video when you have made it in like 10 minutes. It's very obvious, people can see it. But when you really put in that effort and that aesthetically shot of you pouring something is there, brands will come to you and they will pay you. They'll probably initially be like, oh no, can't, and we don't have a budget. We're a multi-millionaire brand, but we don't have a budget for you. They'll probably say that, and most of them do anyways. But I'm just like, if you don't have the budget, then it's fine. You can, or please reach out to me when you do have that budget, and I'm happy to then collaborate. So I think one of the biggest things is please
Yeah.
charge and value
Yeah.
yourself and your content creation skills. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I really learned was that don't get demotivated by numbers, because Instagram is like a number game, and it's really easy to tell yourself and like, that like I'm not getting any reach, I'm not getting anything. I just feel like if you focus on your content, it might take longer than some, and you might see some viral videos or like people doing really like deep frying everything and getting that 1 million, 2 million reach. And you're out there making like nice recipes, putting in that effort. So I think regardless that just continue, because you might think no one is noticing, but there are people noticing. There are people who are going to value your page above those other pages because you're putting in that effort. So just continue doing that.